All right, this user wishes to remain anonymous. This user is out of Dalton and has a very eerie story, so I wanted to share it with you guys today. Please comment if something like this has ever happened to you. Anything weird, strange, or mysterious, let us know about it in the comments. The setting is 2 years ago, Freya's Lounge in Dalton. The person was turning 22, so they went out to celebrate with their friend at Freya's in Dalton. They were laughing, dancing, and drinking, honestly, way more than they should have. They were on about their 5th shot and their 6th drink, which the user says they should have just stopped there, but they didn't. I'd like to mention that at that time, I was overworked and stressed, but not in any way serious crisis. Drinking was never really my thing. In fact, aside from New Year's or the occasional glass of wine at Christmas, I barely touched alcohol at all. But that night spiraled fast. At some point, we both blacked out, drifting in and out of consciousness. Someone must have called the police. The next thing I knew, I was being sent to Highland Rivers, a rehab and mental health facility. They believed that I was possibly going to unalive or struggling with alcoholism. I wasn't, but I was trapped there anyway. That would be really, really scary. Like, not gonna lie. I hate that happened. At first, I kept to myself. The place felt sterile, most like a low-security prison. Everyone had their reasons for being there. Some were open about their addictions. Others admitted they'd lied just to have a roof over their heads. Despite the strange environment, many of them had kind hearts. I had a long, genuine conversation with people who would have just been labeled as broken. I then met a woman who we'll call Maria. She was about 50, short, and looked very native. She spoke only Spanish, but also a native dialect I could almost, but not really understand. She approached me when she heard me speaking Spanish. At first, she tried to small talk, but then her story began to spill out. She said she'd been at Highland Rivers for 3 months, not for treatment, but because she was looking for her children, 2 kids ages 5 and 8. She whispered that they had been taken by a man of extreme power who could silence her at any moment. She didn't even know if they were alive. She told me she made a promise to herself to find them. Regardless, I kind of dismissed her, but was very intrigued. The next day, she asked me for a favor. She said there was a number she wasn't allowed to call. She saw me on the phone line and begged me to ask my mom to dial it. When my mom did, a woman on the other end broke down crying, thrilled that someone was getting closer to finding the children. I had mixed emotions after I heard that because, honestly, I did not believe her. During lunchtime, we were the only Spanish speakers there. Maria confided even more. She claimed it wasn't just her children. Many kids were being taken. Some were sold off, others vanished forever. She described a human ring operating out of Dalton itself. She said the meetings happened at various locations but could never pinpoint a secure spot. She said victims who didn't survive were buried on a nearby mountain, and some were on Dalton Utilities land. Ding, ding, ding. You guys remember what we were talking about at Bracket Ridges where Dalton Utilities land connects? So, anywho, meanwhile, I noticed other strange things. Staff insisted we eat everything on our trays, threatening that we wouldn't be released otherwise. When I refused to eat non-vegan food, they became worried. After meals, we were lined up to take medication. I refused, and they isolated me. Almost everyone else seemed sedated after dinner. It felt like we were being drugged without consent. I noticed Maria never took the pills either. I wanted to help Maria, but had no idea how to. But a day or two later, she was gone. When I asked the staff, they looked at me blankly and said no such woman had ever been there. They acted like I was hallucinating. This is wild. I went back to my room, shaking. My roommate, who we'll call Sarah, who'd been at Highland Rivers for a month, confirmed that the woman was real. She'd seen her every day, but after that she vanished. No explanation. Months later, I told this story to a former coworker. They said they'd heard similar rumors from someone completely unrelated. It made me question everything. Was this a conspiracy or truth so dark it gets erased the moment someone speaks it out loud? To this day, I still think about Maria. Her face, her story, her missing children, and I can't shake the feeling that I brushed against something massive, hidden, dangerous, and then it randomly disappeared. That is so crazy. I'm going to link also and post a couple of news articles about human you-know-what in Dalton.